Hey, Genshin gamers! We're going to be looking today at Teyvat map expansion. We're going to go into the 3.6 expansion of the map. We're going to look at possibilities for future Fontaine expansion. We're going to look at Mondstadt and Liyue expansion, and then look at the possibilities of where Natlan will be and the possibilities of where Snezhnaya will be, even Khaenri'ah. And then at the end of this video, we'll put together a final map of what Teyvat might look like. So let's look first at Fontaine. Fontaine, as of 3.5, we have that great big huge donut hole area. That area is where Vale sort of made a big round spot that connects Fontaine to Sumeru and Liyue and Vale, and it's a big hole, and I call that the donut hole area. So that's one area that we can expand. What we're going to do is we're going to take a trip up to the top of Fontaine to get a bird's eye view of everything, so we can kind of get an idea of what the possibilities are for Fontaine map expansion and for map expansion as a whole. So let's go with Nouvelette way up to the top of Fontaine. You can see the Vale area over there. You can see the drop off of Fontaine as we're traveling up, up. And as we land, we'll kind of see that Vale area, and then we'll see that donut hole area. So here we go. So as we look down and move over, that's Vale, and then there's an island right there in the middle of the water. That's in the big donut hole area, and you can see Sumeru back behind the island. And then over to the right, we can see Maritime Harbor and the Sumeru Desert, and everything else looks like water, but one area of an island, and then that could change as the update comes. And then the tallest mountain in Fontaine, Mont Esses, is right there, and we have not gotten that yet. And then there's some area over on the map that is in the northeastern area of Fontaine that has not yet been developed as well. And so we're going to kind of look at all of these areas. You can see Luminous Harbor right there, and then look at all those mountains beyond there. There is definitely expansion in the future there. Something's going to take up all those mountains. And so we'll kind of talk about that throughout this video as well. So as we go around and we kind of look at this bird's eye view of everything, there's the island again in the donut hole. Again, that's most likely where Remeria is, and the underground remains of ancient Fontaine. And then you can see the drop off of Fontaine. You can see the clear waterfall borders that surround all of Fontaine. And there's Mont Esses, and we're back here to Luminous Harbor. And so if we look at the map will kind of show you can see a clear, distinct area. And this northeast area is not yet developed. We have not gotten that area. And north of Fontaine as well, we haven't gotten it, the Mont Esses area. And then this area here is the donut hole area down south of this. But you can clearly see if we follow the line, there's where the line ends. So it should go further, expand this way, and then we should get a little expansion north. And then right here is the Mont Esses area. That should be a future expansion. So if we look at it on the map, we're most likely looking at something like this. We're going to get an expansion of the enclosure of that donut hole so that all that area is filled in with probably some more area of Sumeru and an island, and probably a lot of underground area of exploration that ends up being Remeria. This right here is the Mont Esses area. we're going to get that at some point, and I think it's going to be a huge update when we do. I hope we get it in 4.6, but if not, we should get it before 4.8, before the end of the Fontaine updates. And then if we look down here, this is Nuvolet looking onto that donut hole area, and it just looks like a lot of water. So that's why I think it's a lot of underwater exploration, except for the one island. And this is another view of it from the ground. Like there's the drop off right there, and we could see an island. You could see an island. So if we go from a maritime harbor and then we look over and warp over to the Sumeru Desert right across from Maritime Harbor, we can see the drop off with the waterfalls of Fontaine and Maritime Harbor. And then we're going to just take a little look over here as far as we can on the map to see how far we can get. You can see there's not that much yet expanded, but I expect all of this Sumeru area to be opened up in 4.6. And we should even get Biota Harbor, which is a bay. It's a sort of a port that is in Sumeru that connects together with Fontaine. And so we should get that harbor as well. So when we fly down here, you can see there's still a lot of Sumeru here that is unexplored that we have not yet gotten.
How about we explore the area ahead of us later?
And Paimon's not going to let us go any further.
How about
We
explore
have
the
to
area
stop
ahead of
right
us
here.
later?
We have to go back. She's pushing us back. All right, we're going back. We're going back. So what we know right now is we're getting a map expansion in 4.6. We're most likely filling the donut hole in the map with some of Sumeru, an island, probably underwater exploration of Remeria. We are going to be exploring another area now, which is like that northeastern area of Fontaine, just to kind of see what's over there, because there's definitely room for expansion. So we kind of want to just look at how far we can get and what that looks like to see, maybe we'll get it in 4.7 or 4, most likely not a map expansion in 4.7 if we're getting such a huge one in 4.6. But I would think by 4.8 we should have this whole map closed, hopefully, of Fontaine, so that we have a full perimeter around Fontaine with drop-off waterfalls all the way around. So when Nuvolet looks down from the area as far as we can get, you could definitely see there's more area here, kind of an ominous water area where the drop-off is to the northeast. You can see right there where Nuvolet is. And if we move further up and kind of look a little bit further, we kind of see the same thing. More of this area that is yet to be expanded. We'll take care of this guy real quick first. Yeah, you're out of here. Boom, dead. All right, good. And then kind of look over there. Yeah, look at all that area of expansion that we have. Like there's the drop off right there. And you can see other things in the background too, like little mountains or possibilities. And then we're back to Mondstadt here. And when we look even further beyond, we can kind of see like there's more expansion to the north as well. Like there's more expansion to the north. Maybe they'll bring Mondstadt with all these other expansions. Maybe that'll all be in 4.8. We don't know. But we should hopefully likely get all of that. So I'm really looking forward to all the Fontaine expansions being done. And then also we still have areas of Mondstadt and Liyue that are not fully developed, but we can see them on the map. So when we look at areas of potential expansion, it's always good to look at the ports because the ports give you an idea of where the boats go to different countries. And so The ones here in the red pink color are the ones that we know of right now. We know all of these ports, they're existing. The ones in purple are the ones that I'm
Something about being an
speculating. And
onboard
if we listen to
consultant?
Dory in a
I got my hands
recent
on a new boat from Fontana a
quest
while
that we
ago,
had
equipped with
at
cutting-edge
the
navigation technology.
Wangshu Inn,
If we manage to spread the word, it could have
she talks
huge
about
business
and gives us a
potential.
little bit of Easter egg about where
Right now,
they
we're
were
doing some
moving.
test
So she
runs.
says
We
they went
sailed
from
from Port
Port
Ormuz to
Ormuz to
Rito, then from
Rito to Liyue Harbor, and then Liyue Harbor over to Dornman Port. And that is the path that I think that they took, which indicates that Dorman Port is not far from Liyue Harbor. And so when you look at the path that they took, more likely Dorman Port is north of Mondstadt. And there's a big expansion around Stormterror's Lair and all of that that still needs to be developed. And Dorman Port is most likely um, north of Mondstadt. It's just an expansion that hasn't been given. And I think it'll probably come closer to the Snezhnaya quest, maybe right before we get Snezhnaya. That would kind of make sense. And if you look, you can kind of see a little landmass to the north of Mondstadt, right by Stormtear's lair. So that this area is what I think is going to be the expansion area. So this is Mondstadt as a whole. And then Dornmanport is probably in this north part of Mondstadt. And if we go there and we kind of look, this is the reason why I think it is like that. So Carrara is going to take us over there to take a look at what is going on over north of Mondstadt. So here, as she's traveling along, you can kind of see the water over there. You can kind of see where we're at. Kind of looks over at Mondstadt there. And then there's this big island mass over there that we don't have access to. We're right on the border here, and it's not letting us go much further. We're going to try to go as far as we can here, but look at that water down below us. That's like a water channel that boats could go through. And it looks like it goes back behind. This is all untextured land right now. It'll probably change significantly once they do the update, but this is what we see so far as a water channel and then a landmass. And so this is probably the placeholder for where Dormant Port will be. And it's been there. It's been like this for quite a few patches now. It's been like this. So no idea when that will finally come, but this is the area that I'm talking about, and this is where I think the expansion will be. And hopefully they'll also close this whole area between Stormterror's Lair and Liyue as well as part of that large Mondstadt Northern expansion. We might even see the Dandelion Sea that's been talked about as well. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Mondstadt expansion. And that this is kind of just taking another view of it from the other side. So we can see this whole big landmass down there that we don't have access to, that hopefully someday will be the northern expansion of Mondstadt. Now you can see where Mondstadt Island, the island of Mondstadt is, and you can kind of see this whole northern area. It's huge compared to Mondstadt. So hoping that that will be something that comes sooner rather than later. So, kind of looking at the map, we have that northern area that I was talking about, but we also have an area south of Liyue that we can see area for development in the future, but nothing has been done. It's been sitting like this for quite some time. So let's take Nuvalet down that way and kind of see where this takes us. It looks like it's going to take us over down to the southern border of Liyue. We'll go down here. We'll kind of look over the edge and look at all of that. Look at all of that untextured land. That's all just like standard untextured placeholder land. But there you can see some water channels down there, and that's the existing land there, and then over here is this untextured land. And when you look down there, there's a house. There's a house down there that's been there the whole time. It's been sitting there, and I've looked at it several times, and it's just sitting there. It's never gone away. It's just kind of sitting there. So I don't know if that'll be like a story quest or something that leads us to this, kind of like how in Baiju's quest there was a house and it led us to it. It could be something
Probably
like
explore the
that.
area ahead of us later.
I don't know for sure, but
Probably explore the area
when
ahead
you
of us
look at
later.
it from different areas, you kind of see the same thing. You kind of see just untextured land that is for future expansion. And so we're going to take the wanderer over there and he can kind of look over the side and see the same thing just from a different perspective. Yep, all that untextured land and some waterways and channels that lead out to the great grand ocean. And so if we go over to uh, Sumeru to look at it, we kind of see the same thing. We don't have as good of a view from over here, but when you look over, you can kind of see some islands and then you just see a vast sea, nothing out there at all except a vast sea, and then some jagged areas of the Sumeru Desert over to the right of the screen, and then back over to that left areas where Liyue is, and then nothing for as far as the eye can see. So let's talk about Natlan. Natlan is the land of Pyro, and what we know about it is that it's ruled by an archon named Murata, who's the god of war. And we can expect volcanoes and hot springs, dragons, things to be more tribal in nature. These are the kind of the hints that have been given through storylines to us. And then I imagine that we're going to probably see a nation that's more um, sort of like South American Chile or where you have like a long, skinny peninsula type of a setup, or islands, like little islands, probably volcanic islands. Um, so this is kind of what I think is that Natlan is going to be to the west of the Sumeru Desert, and they'll probably have connections. When you look from the desert, you can actually see some jagged areas down below that we don't have access to. So either that'll be a future expansion of the Sumeru Desert, or that'll be part of Natlan. And then I picture it having islands, maybe even volcanoes, like north of the Sumeru Desert, close to Fontaine. It's possible that Natlan may extend up above Fontaine, or it may extend down below the Sumeru Desert, more towards going back towards Port Ormuz. We could see a little bit of Natlan that way. We really don't know, but I'm pretty excited for it. And then, of course, we have the nation of Cryo, Snezhnaya, and trying to speculate about that. You know, we've been given little hints about Snezhnaya being north, and because it's the land of Cryo, that kind of makes sense. What we know about it is the archon is the Tsaritsa, who is the god of love, and she's the leader of the Fatui Harbingers. So Snezhnaya will come out in 6.0 update, and it's the last place that we're going to head before we head to Khaenri'ah. And so this is kind of how I picture Snezhnaya looking. I think it's going to be a large, huge landmass, more like Russia, that is north, and above where we anticipate Dorman Port and Mondstadt to be. Snezhnaya will probably be a huge country that comes close to Fontaine, close to Mondstadt, might even wrap to the east of Mondstadt a little bit. It could actually even go over the northern part of Fontaine as well. We really don't know. But it's pretty exciting to see how that comes out. But we also want to look at Khaenri'ah, because after we go to Snezhnaya, we're going to head to Khaenri'ah. This is our final stop in our journey, supposedly. And so lots of speculation goes into where Khaenri'ah is. We do know that it's underground and it's near the Sumeru Desert. We know that it was destroyed 500 years ago, and we saw the Khaenri'ah door. Those are the clues that have been given to us. Other than that, we really don't know. So if we look at where the Khaenri'ah door is, if you go to the Sumeru Desert to this warp point, you go down, deep down into the earth, and you end up here at this door, which is labeled the Khaenri'ah door. It takes you way, way, way deep down into the earth to get to this door. And when you look at it, it's a grand door. And so I kind of envision what Dainsliff said during the Travail trailer, where he said that after you have made your journey to all the nations, you walk through the door and you face me if you think that you can save her. And so this I picture as that Khaenri'ah door that he's talking about, that we walk through to face him in the end of our journey. And if you look at where it's at and kind of put a radius around it, most likely Khaenri'ah is within this area. It could be in part in that donut hole area. We may even get some Khaenri'ah lore while we're exploring Remeria. That could be really cool. So what will the final map look like? Again, kind of putting all the pieces together, we know this is our current map. We expect the donut hole to be filled in 4.6. We expect Fontaine hopefully to be completed by the end of the 4 points. And we should see Natlan to the west of the Sumeru Desert, Snezhnaya to the north of Mondstadt. There are some mountains that we can see in the northwestern corner as well. I don't know if that's continuation of Natlan, or if that's just something that artifact in the development and will always kind of be there in the distance. But that's kind of what I expect the map to look like. So thanks so much for watching my video, and please subscribe so I can grow my channel. I thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.